There's the scene here at Cogra Oval, looking around towards the new grandstand. Just a couple of weeks old now, seats 2,500, cost a couple of $1 million, but certainly a great improvement here at Cogra Oval. Conditions just a little chilly for the spectators, but Johnny Peters should be very good for football.
Ideal for football, Warren. In fact, I feel like a game myself. It's overcast and very still. North's got a bit of form on the board at the moment. Should be too good for St George today. It's hard to crystal ball on Saints. They're just not consistent enough.
St George emerging from the new grandstand. Paul Osborne, Brad Mackay, Steve Linnane. The St George Dragons of 1990 really do need to win today. And the lineup, Potter at fullback, Landers and Wade, the wingers, making their debut today. Mackay and Coyne in the centres. Doyle making his second first-grade appearance at 5'8", Linnane's the half. And the forwards, Gill, Fafita, Goulet, Tierney, Bailey and Osborne. Coaches, Craig Young. The Bears emerging, led out by their skipper, Tony Ray. Pat Jarvis, 33 years of age. What a war horse he is. And he'd be enjoying his football, surrounded by a few younger faces, but a very successful team this year. Jason Martin, the last man out of the tunnel. And the lineup, Conlon at fullback, Kiss, French, Florimo and Thompson, Martin and Soden are the halves. And the forward lineup, Billy Moore at block forward, Bailey and Toole, the hard-working second rowers, Dave Alexander, Tony Ray, Pat Jarvis, and the coaches, Steve Martin. Well, Trevor Bailey is opposed to Tony Ray, the opposition hooker. Both of them played together in Brisbane a few years ago with the Brothers Club. And Pat Jarvis has played with a few clubs now and performed admirably with all of them, but really having a great year as everyone stands for the national anthem. Greg Florimo represented New South Wales just a couple of years back. And some of the new faces amongst the Dragons. Les Kiss. We don't have a huge crowd here at the Cogra today. The Saints supporters must have been disappointed when the Dragons went under to Parramatta when they celebrated the opening of the grandstand. Eddie Ward, the referee, and play underway in very still conditions here at Cogra. Running it up, Paul Conlon for the Bears. North's last win at Cogra was in 1978. In fact, they've won only 6 of 24 games here at the Dragons' lair. In under 21, something of an upset there with Norths defeating St George 20-14. Saints had been leading the competition. And in reserve grade, St George defeating Norths 18-14 in a tight one. Good kick there from Tony Ray. Under pressure, getting a good kick in, well directed, picking up 40 metres.
Yeah, Warren, I'd be very surprised if St George didn't try to counteract Tony Ray's kicking from dummy half. He just made a good gain then. He's been doing it consistently over the last few weeks. A real danger player for the Dragons.
Linnane feeds the scrum, and it's a St George ball with Mackay. First man off the scrum base there. Picked in the centres today. Running from dummy half. There's Cameron Wade in his debut match. He'll be a little nervous. There's Mackay from dummy half, making good ground.
They might have changed them around. They might have Mackay playing 5'8" in the pack.
We'll have a close look at Brad Mackay. The first penalty of the match goes to St George. Pat Jarvis in the tackle there.
Yeah, Pat just laying on the tackle player just a little bit too long.
Pat Jarvis played with St George from 77 to 86, Canterbury in 87, and then with Easts in 88-89, and he is the one big signing that Norths have made this year. Let's have a look at the record for and against this season. Points in attack. North's just ahead. But against is the story. North's defence has been very solid this season, conceding just 136 points, and that compares much more favourably with St George's record. Goulet plays it back. Just 25 metres out, it goes to Fafita. Crosses the 22. Bailey in a dummy half. Linane gets the pass away. The kick in there from Doyle, and it's a good kick. Some pressure coming through from Coyne out wide, and it's just towed out over the touchline. Desperate work by Conlon, and in fact it went touch in goal.
Well, we have a look. It's a very good kick by young Rod Doyle, and just across the face. And coming through is the young centre, Mark Coyne, coming through, and Paul Conlon had to really scurry there.
I thought he'd managed to kick the ball out just in the field of play, but it did go behind the corner post. And a poor dropout, only gains at 22 metres. Mackay escaped from the tackle. 18 metres out. Bailey in a dummy half. Goes the blind side. Fafita is a strong runner. Still going. North's defence being tested early here by the Dragons. Linane, one off the ruck. Has runners. Gets the pass away to Tierney. Slips the ball away. Oh, he can't get it to Goulet. Goes backwards. Linane dancing. Doyle calls for it. Up there is Potter, joining in from fullback. They're 18 metres out still. Haven't been able to get any closer. Now Osborne cuts across the ruck, the ball inside, but it's on the ground, and it's a North Sydney ball.
It was a very poor pass, but Osborne there, that was just a speculator.
Linane was inside, so was Doyle, but it was directed at their feet. So now a chance for North to try and ruck the ball out using their big fellas. Looks like Greg Florimo wants the ball. No, he's a decoy runner, and going from dummy half is Kevin Thompson. Now, once more, it's the big fellows. This time it's Dave Alexander for North. Jarvis has his right arm heavily strapped. Can't get the pass away. He was trying to, but the St George defenders got in between him and the support. Soden with the kick. Back in behind the winger. Waiting for it there is Landers. And Landers taken on by Kiss, and he makes the tackle on him.
A very big lad too, young Kurt Landers, the son of ex-Eastern Suburbs player
Bobby Landers.
Bobby, that's right.
I remember collecting his footy cards. He won't want me to mention that probably. Goulet, former Wallaby, was disappointed when he missed last year's rugby tour of France, and when St George made him the offer, he decided it was time to change. Here's Osborne wrapped up. Solid defence underneath is Martin over the top Ray. Back it goes for Linane's kick. No winger back. Conlon all by himself. Kevin Thompson was up in the front line, so no support there for the fullback. Soden runs from dummy half. Plenty of youth in this North Sydney lineup. Aged just 19 years of age are David Fairley, Jason Martin, and Billy Moore. Mark Soden, not much older at 21. So all around that scrum base, very young for North Sydney, but they're learning rapidly. The experience of people like Jarvis and also Florimo must help them out. Ray, good long kick. Potter waits underneath it and gathers well. Pass out wide. Going down the sideline is the winger, Cameron Wade. Decided not to give the ball to Coyne. Linane sends it out. Doyle sends it to Mackay. He's lost it. A chance here for Kiss. Can Kiss get away from the desperate tackle? Sips the ball now to Martin. Has support. Doesn't get the pass. Plays it forward now. Martin is still going. There's Alexander looming up in support there of Martin, but he held onto the ball. Now Jarvis tries to take them on. He's just 5 metres short. The Bears all grouped in the centre of the field. Ray slips it back inside. Soden leaves it behind. Conlon is there, and the referee rules the knock-on.
They worked for a set play here. They went one way, then the other, and they reversed the play back up the middle. And if you have a look here, turned it back inside to Mark Soden. Unfortunately, coughed the ball up, but there was a little bit of a hole there. Could have been a try.
St George ball. Back it goes to Mackay, who certainly isn't playing in the centres, so not from the scrums anyway. Playing it back as Landers. Potter runs from dummy half. Michael Potter has been in pretty good form lately after some serious leg injuries. Seems such a long time ago he was playing with Canterbury. Working the blind side now. Neil Tierney to play it back right on the Saints 22. Lanane thumping it down the touchline, just 10 metres in as it bounces around for Conlon. Thompson's back there. Good push off one, left Gill laying in the dust.
Very similar to Paul Hope, the Brisbane fullback. He's a very big lad, Conlon, isn't he?
Very rangy sort of character. Here's Greg Florimo. Pushes away from one. That was Doyle.
Warren, I think the feature of North's players is just their control of the football. It's been very good over the past month and a half. They're kicking well too, but the chase team could probably a little bit better.
Here's Billy Moore making the bust straight up the centre, looking for support as he comes to Potter, puts it ahead. A chase going back there, racing back for it as Landers, and he carries it over the dead ball line. Great bust by Billy Moore.
Well, I think that he probably took the wrong option here. He'd been better off taking the tackle, but he did have plenty of players in support. If you have a look, there's Fairley, Les Kiss trying to get to him, but good defence also by St George. If you have a look here, young Landers coming back and cover and running the ball over the dead ball line.
And the boss, David Hill. We better say all the right things today. President of the North Sydney Club, and also has his hands full with the ABC during the week. It was a bad missed tackle by Neil Tierney in that bust by Billy Moore. Moore stepped off his left foot and went straight through Tierney, who appeared to have him lined up. Here's Alexander. That time it's good defence from St George coming in. One of them was Goulet with Mackay. Moore skirts wide, taken well by Landers, rides him into the ground. Soden pops it through, comes off the hands of Fafita, back to Potter, and Soden makes a great tackle on the fullback. Good work there from Soden.
Bobby Landers' son, he looks exactly like Bobby. Did you play against him, Artie?
Well, many years ago, John, I think it was the 66 side when I was playing for Balmain.
Yeah, and I think he was with Penrith then the last few years, Bobby. He'd been with East previously. But here's the bloke that might inject some life into the Dragons, Paul Osborne. He's got a fire, I think, if the Saints are doing any good today.
Here's Fafita, but they read the play well. Three of the Bears converged on him. The dummy to the blind, they went the open. Bailey, Osborne has taken a knock. Good kick from Bailey.
Well, it's interesting to note that we have two good kickers, and both playing hook, and St George also have a good kicker from Tony Ray.
Both very similar styles of players, aren't they, Artie?
They certainly are.
Yeah, Osborne's gone. Warren, he's limping off.
Well, you just said that he can often be the key to a good effort from St George, so that's a real blow.
Yeah, might have to rest on Lanane's shoulders now.
Number 8, Paul Osborne on the sideline.
North's ball, Martin. Can't escape the tackle of Gill breaking from...
They're bringing a young Eastern Suburbs player on, former Eastern Suburbs player Matty Elliott, number 22, coming on to replace Osborne. Played some good games too, young Matty Elliott. Had a stint in France.
There's Matthew Elliott. Originally, Wally Fullerton-Smith was named as a fresh reserve, but he had to pull out today. In fact, both fresh reserves out. Darren South also out, and Darren Higgins on the bench with Matthew Elliott for this match. Potter gathers just a couple of metres out from his own goal line, sees Florimo in front of him and slips as he comes to the centre.
Good control again by North. They're taking their sixes right up to 5 at least before kicking.
You're always in a position to win a match if you control the ball for 6.
Play a very similar pattern to Cronulla, John.
Yeah, exactly, Arthur. Couldn't have said it more succinctly.
That's Neil Tierney with the ball. Won the Rothmans medal in Brisbane last year. Here's Elliott into the fray. It's the 5th tackle. St George midway between their own quarter and halfway. It goes back for Doyle. His kick out towards the touchline sends Kiss scurrying back. He had thought it was going to come infield, had to go back towards the touchline, and that's a very good kick from Doyle.
We have a look here. Rod Doyle, the 5'8", a brother to Jeff Doyle from Newcastle. Both played with the Wynnum Manly Club in Brisbane. A good kick by Rod Doyle.
Doyle coming into the side just last week to make his debut against Wests. It was only a few weeks ago we thought David New was going to be the hero for St George to take over that 5'8" role. Now here's a bad mistake by North.
Yeah, Les Kiss putting the ball down here. If you have a look, Les, the ball, not a good pass from Mark Soden, but a player of his experience was entitled to take it.
Soden puts his hand to his head, realising that he contributed to the mistake. So St George with an opportunity here. No points on the board so far. We've had 12 minutes of play. Gill.
Well, I believe the player that probably they'll depend on for a big game will be Peter Gill. He's the workhorse of the St George pack, and if he comes up with a good game, I think that they can go a long way towards winning this game.
Penalty goes against Greg Florimo, interfering in the tackle. Florimo looked in anguish at the referee, as if to say, I didn't do it, sir. But he certainly had his hand pinned underneath Gill there, and it didn't look as if Gill was holding his hand under his armpit.
Looking very much like a Rod Reddy, Peter Gill.
In fact, I believe that Scott Goulet used to admire Rod Reddy. He was one of his heroes when he was a little younger. Doyle will attempt this kick from a very easy position. They don't come much easier than this. But you can still miss them from there. 13 metres out, right in front. Rod Doyle makes no mistake, and the first points are on the board to St George, and they lead 2-0. St George have already lost 7 matches this season by my calculations. If you're trying to make that magic 28 points, which is the usual mark to make the semi-finals, you can't afford to lose more than 8. So if they go down today, they're right up against it. They just about need a miracle to make the semis. In fact, they just about need a miracle as it is, though they do have most of their games in this last section of the season at home. Play restarts with a kick from Conlon. And well gathered in there by Cameron Wade. Both of these wingers have shown plenty of enthusiasm to get involved. They've been coming in to the play. Bailey goes across, picks up Goulet. Fafita. Right on the St George 22. Here's Landers. He has the size to get in and help out the forwards. Lanane under pressure, but gets the kick in. And it's bouncing for Conlon. Didn't take the bounce that George would have liked. And a good chase from Mark Coyne with Goulet, also Wade. There's Goulet in the tackle again with Coyne.
John, both sides have got to put a little bit more pressure on the kickers, haven't they? In that instance there, Lanane had all the time in the world really to put that shot away.
Yeah, there's almost a casual atmosphere out there. I'm sure Steve Martin, Arthur, would be disappointed at North. The intensity's not there. A bit of control there, but except when Les Kiss dropped that ball. But I agree with you. They'll have to both tighten up that area.
Ray's kick has been touched. It's bouncing for Potter. He finally gathers it in. Ray slips over, and Potter almost escapes. John, I'm just wondering about that intensity you speak of. Do you think that's because the crowd is relatively small here?
Well, maybe so, and I guess that everyone's tipped North Sydney. It's all up to St George now. I think they can really turn something on if they can put some early points on the board. Perhaps North's in a bit of trouble.
Here's Mackay trying to get past Kiss. 10 metres short of halfway now. Lanane. Doyle has some runners. Doesn't give it to Gill. Picks up Elliott. He spins out of one. Back it comes, flicked over the top, out to Wade, who gathers in the bouncing ball. And Jason Martin limps away in the back play. Gill slips it away to Goulet, stretches out down the touchline, kicks infield, coming through is Doyle, and he hits Conlon as he receives
If we
the
have
ball.
a look there, Matty Elliott going very quick on Goulet there. He had 2 men in support, and there's a possibility of a try had he took the right option there. You have a look here, but he's got 2 men inside. One is Matty Elliott, and plus 2 more St George players in support.
You could see that Elliott looked over his shoulder immediately at Goulet as if to say, why did you do that? I think they still had a couple of tackles up their
Well,
sleeve.
it's probably called a Gary Owen. Someone must have said, put a Gary Owen up in Union.
Hard to shake that rah-rah influence.
Bit of inexperience there.
Goulet said the main thing he's noticed in the difference between League and Union is the continuity of the play, that it certainly puts demands on your stamina. Now, Potter again waits for the kick. Fullbacks and wingers are kept busy in rugby league these days by the kicking game.
Especially if Ricky Stewart's on the other side.
Landers runs into some tough defence from Jarvis. He bounced away from him, but they couldn't escape Toole. Also Alexander.
Pretty fair prospect, Landers. Warren, he weighs about 95 kilos. He comes from a family that's always been interested in bodybuilding and sport. And he's having a fair game out there.
Very much involved. There's a good run from Coyne too. The penalty goes against Mark Coyne for moving off the mark, trying to walk into Florimo, put a little bit of pressure on Florimo.
Well, if you have a look, he struggles with the tackle, but he goes for a walk. I thought the penalty was justified.
A little bit of a nudge with the knee coming in there from David Fairley as well, just to put Coyne off.
Football, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you with a good wishes.
It's fair enough for the referees to crack down on players walking off the mark, because if you walk forward into the tackler, well, you immediately get tangled, and obviously it's usually the man who interferes with you trying to play the ball that concedes the penalty, but sometimes there's a bit of gamesmanship in it.
Well, I think he's just gone for a crawl.
Paul Conlon to attempt the goal. Metres gained so far in the match, dead even, 503 apiece. The time held, St George leading the way, almost doubled North Sydney's degree of possession there.
That could be a telling factor later on in the game.
This is 36 metres out for Paul Conlon, just to the left of the uprights. No wind. Conlon moves into this long-range goal, hits it well, has plenty of distance, and the flags are up. That's a great kick from Conlon. Got the distance easily, and that levels the scores at 2-2 after 20 minutes. Nothing much between these sides at all in the way the game is being played. Similar styles of play, in fact. Both are controlling the ball pretty well, using the kicking game. The fullbacks have been fairly busy.
There's no wind down there at all, John Peard?
Not at all, Arthur. Absolutely ideal conditions for football. And even from the sideline here, I can see, I've heard Pat Jarvis trying to charge North up.
So play underway once more. North's this good record that they've put together of 5 wins in a row, beating Brisbane, Gold Coast, Easts, Souths and Illawarra. Adrian Toole just copping what was a fairly high tackle a moment ago.
He was on the end of a shoulder charge by Neil Turney.
Martin, a dummy half. Comes to Bailey, also Doyle. St George's defensive line looks solid at the moment. They're moving up, standing fairly much bunched in close together in the centre, though, St George. Could be a bit of space out wide. Soden with the kick. Wade intercepts it well. Chased by Ian French, but an equally good chase comes in from Billy Moore.
They play a very simple game plan, Norse, don't they, John? They just work it to the red zone, they just work it to the middle of the field and kick either side.
Yeah, I think, well, it's been successful for them, Arthur. I saw them play a couple of games, saw them against the Eastern Suburbs. They just stick to that basic pattern. Eventually, just through time in possession and frustrating the opposition, the breaks will come.
Well, the ball was lost by Tierney, but then it looked like it could well have been a Shepherd. Martin ran behind one of his players. The referee said it was okay, that the defence wasn't impeded. Must have been close. Martin actually hesitated, made it look worse by stopping. Now, what's happened here is, looks like it could be a penalty against North Sydney here.
We have a look, Lemaine coming into the tackle.
Dave Alexander, I think it is.
Oh, a nice little shoulder charge with an elbow to boot.
In fact, it's David Fairley. A little bit of inexperience there from Fairley, in possession, in a good attacking position, just to find himself being niggled and reacting and having a bit of a go, trying to rough up his opposition.
Great kick there by Lemaine. He's found the maximum.
Bailey finds Fafita on the roll here, charging into Ian French, but the pass has gone forward. Well, first tackle, what a mistake. Trevor Bailey knows it. Fafita came from the deep. He was trying to hit the ball at maximum speed, but just mistimed his run.
Well, it doesn't show it there, but he did set was in front of the man.
Well, they're the types of things that would make Albert, the coach, Albert Young, the curling, very disappointed.
Soden from dummy half. St George forwards trying to get across. Kiss from dummy half now. Nothing fancy in it from the Bears. Just probing away. Here's Fairley. Runs into Doyle and also Tierney.
Les Kiss limps back to his wing there, if you have a look in the background.
Goes out towards Kiss's wing. Ian French has it. Can't break through Trevor Bailey's tackle. Just short of halfway. There's Kiss. They've had the wind knocked out of him as well. Soden. Lenane grabs him. Man on man, the halfbacks have a wrestle. Martin, under pressure from Lenane, gets the kick in. Straight down Potter's throat. With a bit of room to move. Alexander there to make the tackle. David Alexander. Mackay. At half-time in the State of Origin match, Brad Mackay was leading the tackle count, playing at 5'8" on Wednesday night. Tierney has lost the ball. His mistake rate isn't good at the moment, Neil Tierney. A couple of lost balls, a missed tackle. Florimo turns it out to Moore. Moore swooped on by Fafita. On the St George 22. Jarvis. Norths need to finish off some of the sets of six with a good bomb or some pressure into the in-goal area. Martin. Florimo almost loses it. Lenane collars him. Finally, Goulet puts him on the deck.
Doing some good defence, Goulet.
Ray can't get away. Once more, it's Goulet around the ankles. Florimo at dummy half. They weren't expecting it as it went to Alexander. He puts the kick up. It's not a bad bomb either on Potter, who took it beautifully. Raced into that ball. Thompson makes a second tackle from dummy half. Coyne struggles halfway through. Elliott, he loses his footing. It must be just a little soft in that particular area. We can see some of the mud just scuffing up. The surrounds of the oval here are very, very wet still. Here's Goulet, pops his arm through for Coyne. Coyne has pace, racing down the touchline. Leaves Toole behind, support inside, gets it away to Wade, and Wade is racing away for a first try in his first match for St George in first grade. Great work from St George. Goulet, good lead up. St George, 6 points to 2.
We have a look here, Bailey from dummy half. Just picks up Goulet, throws the dummy, skirts through the hole, gets him behind, lays the ball on to Coyne. We have a look. There's Cameron Wade backing up here. He just fumbles it for a moment there. There's a chance he might knock the ball on, but goes all the way. He's not only having a good game, young Scott Goulet, in defence, a great game in attack also, and great finishing work there by the... Once again, we've got here Scott Goulet going in behind the defence, picking up Mark Coyne. Mark Coyne got the pace, too much pace for Toole. Backing up on the inside, Cameron Wade putting the ball down under the post.
Great work by Wade, just 20 years of age, formerly from Wynnum Manly in Brisbane. As the kick, no mistake made with it there. So Doyle adding the extras, and St George skip away to a lead of 8 points to 2.
Yeah, good break for Saints. Here they are working the short side. Long pass to Gourley now. French is caught on the back foot. He didn't give his outside player any indications what he was doing then. And the speed of Coyne down the sideline draws the fullback and goes back inside to Cameron Wade. Nice debut for Cameron Wade. Kelly Egan, 40, on for Les Kiss.
And Wade
North Sydney
is
replacement is number
just
40,
recatching
40 is
his breath,
Kevin
but
Egan.
he'll be pretty excited by that try.
Interesting to note that St George have 7 Queensland players in their side.
And a few in the North Sydney side as well.
Reckon it could be their week again, Arthur.
Well, we'd like a replay.
Well, both sides have scored 35 tries this year. Well, that makes St George 36, but the difference is Saints have allowed 34 in and North just 24.
Strong work there by Tierney. Good strong run. Breaking up the forwards. Here goes Fafita. That try may give St George a little more confidence. They've just been hanging in there. If anything, North have looked the better side up till now. They've shown more control and had the dominance in territory. It's the 5th tackle. Back to Linane. Jarvis was after him. Good kick down to Conlon.
No pressure at all on Linane's kicking game. They've just got to put some pressure on him. Had Jarvis trying to put a bit of pressure there, but they need someone a little bit faster in there. Maybe Soden getting in there, putting a little bit of pressure on him.
Jarvis hurls himself at the line. There's Scott Gale on the reserves bench. Very talented footballer, but unable to crack first grade at the moment in this very solid lineup for North Sydney.
We might see him later on in the game. He's a good shock trooper, Scotty Gale.
Martin was looking wide for Florimo, who overran him. Martin had to go himself. I'm sure Florimo was expecting a kick of some kind downfield. Soden places this kick well, bouncing in between Wade and Potter. Finally, it's Wade who gathers. He'll have trouble getting back into the field of play. Ducks underneath Ian French and just gets a metre into the field of play as Thompson makes the tackle. Potter rounded up by Toole, also Fairley. Landers has a run and lifted by Billy Moore. Trying to get to his feet. Referee allows it to go on. Gill looking to throw the ball out the back, but just couldn't get his arms free. Short of the 22. The backs are well spread. The feeder straightens it up. Gets a good pass away to Potter. Has support inside in Doyle. Doyle alongside him is Bailey. Bailey looks for another one. The pass looks to have gone forward. Out to Mackay, and the referee will call it back. Bailey went outside looking for support. There was no one in close, so he hurled it over the top, but having turned his back in going backwards for support, he misjudged the direction.
Good work there by Fafita. Some good short passes strung together, and unfortunately the final pass was probably about 2 metres forward. We have a look here. Can't throw left to right, but tries for the long pass, and dead set 2 yards forward.
They're always in trouble once you turn your back. You tend to lose orientation on the field, and the pass tends to slip forward.
Well, of course, what happened there was his strong side. They're trying to throw the spiral pass right to left. He can't spiral pass left to right, obviously.
Martin, long cut-out pass for Florimo. Cut through, stepping well as Florimo. Still going. Great work, Florimo. Inside is Martin. Great work from Greg Florimo. All the skills. Martin goes on with it. Martin to the line. Just short. North's right on the attack here. St George still coming back onside. Diving over there, not quite making it as Alexander. Just inches short. Towed through by Raya. Chasing for Billy Moore. He can't get to it. And it'll go back to the 22. That's the second time this season I've seen North's attempt that. Rather than playing the ball back, the dummy up just kicks it through.
It's a good ploy here. Unfortunately, the kick is just a little bit too hard, but very disappointed some defence there by Neil Turney. Young Soden went right through his tackle there, so he's missed a couple of tackles, Turney.
Well, St George are going to have to tighten up. They've got some big names in reserve grade, like Graham Wynn and Billy Noak, and one of their signings for this year, Guy Picken from Cronulla, who finished off last year so strongly with Cronulla until being seriously injured. But Saints haven't really found the new talent this year that's come right through the way North's have. The errors, too many by the Dragons. You missed tackles there. Also drop balls and bad passes.
Once again, we see that soft spot there. Turney just sliding. I think Albert might suggest the long tags at half-time.
Elliott goes wide, stands in the tackle, so they just managed to hold onto him.
John, there's no urgency there to support short. A few times we've seen players standing up looking for a receiver, and no one's prepared to come in short.
Yeah, well, I think with players like Fafita and Goulet, I think you should be sweating on that, particularly the halves, half and 5'8". Lanane and young Rod Doyle should be sweating on those two because they can use the ball, both of those second rowers.
Probably that's a great kick by Lane there once again, but as you said, the problem is I think Lanane's trying to set him for his kicking game, but he's there also, as you said, to support.
Yeah, but he tends to stand back and try and direct play more than take an active part in moving the ball or carrying the football.
The scrum penalty has gone to North Sydney. It's a differential, and Trevor Bailey is coming over to ask what for. It seems as if the signal is that St George didn't come in at right angles to the touchline. They came in on the angle. Don't see too many scrum penalties these days. Not for that kind of infringement. Penalties 3-2 in favour of St George. 5 metres short of halfway. Jarvis takes on Tierney, who holds him well with Bailey. Soden has a little darting run himself, but no way through the forwards, and he might regret running into John Fafita. On the blind side, it goes to Conlon. Lorimer weaving his way towards centre field. It's the fifth tackle. Right in the centre, 30 metres out. Soden, up goes the bomb. A lot of players in front of him. Soden coming through to put them all onside. And Alexander just put out a hand, didn't really go for the ball. He seemed to be not so confident he had been put onside.
John, in those 5 rucks, they never took the ball outside probably a 30-metre space.
Yeah, not good play. They're not going to move any defence around doing that. I think their formula for success over the last few weeks is deserting them a bit today because they're just not enough intensity, I don't think. They think the win will come to them if they just hang in there. But while Saints have got a little bit of confidence up, they'll be hard to beat because there's no doubt about it, they're more creative than North Sydney.
You've got Peter Gill receiving attention in the back play.
Kick downfield, bouncing for Conlon. Conlon runs into Coyne, bounces away from him and Wade. Peter Gill back on his feet. Kevin Thompson makes a good run, almost cracked the line. Penalty goes against the Dragons, up inside of 5, just inside their own territory. Lanane involved in a bit of action there to stop the ball. Peter Gill, it looked like, moving up inside the 5 too quickly, just too eager to get up there and try and cut Norths down.
Been some great defence by the North forwards, led by Pat Jarvis, 15, Alexander, 13, and Billy Moore, 13. And over on the other side, we got Trevor Bailey for St George, leading the tackle count with 16, and Scott Goulet. We said he was doing a lot of defence on 15, aided and abetted by John Fafita filling.
There's Scott Goulet.
He certainly had a great game last week, and he's backing that up this week.
Has only played the 2 completed first-grade games on a 2-year contract with St George. 21 years of age and a long way to go. Of course, his father, Robin Goulet, figured in the St George Premiership wins back, I think it was 65 and 66.
Yeah, one of the toughest front rowers you'd ever wish to face.
Paul Conlon has a long-range goal here. He's just 8 metres inside St George territory. 41 metres this kick has to travel. He hasn't hit it well at all. Missed wide and short, and Potter allows it to bounce over the dead ball line. Didn't want to take the risk on the bouncing ball. St George leading 8 points to 2.
Well, they're going to have to get back. There's only 4.5 minutes to go, and if North's going to do something, they're going to have to get back in this match quickly. So they'll be hoping for some sort of points before half-time.
St George looked that a little more dangerous just on the edge of the ruck. They're prepared to move the ball, whereas North have just been keeping it in the centre all the time, really playing within themselves. Risk-free football, certainly, but not all that dangerous. As Toole tackle just short of halfway. Jarvis spins. Ray has it. Tony Ray is playing with a broken finger, which must make things difficult at dummy half. Soden gets the pass away. Good charging run by Alexander. Midway between Saints quarter and half now.
They've got numbers here.
French trying to show the ball on the inside to confuse the defence.
They had the numbers there, and he opted for took the wrong option. They had a 4-on-2 situation there.
Pass to Ian French, looked a little forward. Allowed to go on. It's the last tackle now. Ray from dummy half. Kicks towards the blind side. Only one chaser coming through. The ball's loose. Could be anyone fallen on by Potter in the end. Racing through after that was Kelly Egan for Norths, but he was the solitary bear giving chase.
It was a good bomb here from Tony Ray from dummy half, but as you said, Kelly Egan going up, winning the jump for it, but Potter diving on the dregs.
Kelly Egan picked as a fresh reserve for this game, although he was a shadow player for Queensland during the week. Fafita charges into some solid defence and he's lost the ball. Good jolting tackle there on the big
Adrian
St George
Toole.
second rower.
That took the wind out of John Fafita too. He hit him right around the midsection. It was a great tackle by Adrian Toole.
Peter Gill telling him get into that scrum, but Fafita can't move. So Gill has to go into the second row.
He's sucking up the big ones there. He read the play well there, Soden. He knew they were without a lock forward, and he went from the dummy half to the blind.
Tony Ray can't find a hole. Only a couple of minutes till half time. Alexander pops it up and it's intercepted by Landers. Wasn't quite, the support wasn't quite there when he needed it, and in the end a poor pass. Elliott. Toole comes over the top looking to steal the ball. John Fafita is still down. Ball slipped away to Mackay, but it was forward. Good ball from Tierney. Mackay bursting off his shoulder, but it had just slipped forward, and Mackay was well downfield heading for Conlon.
We have a look here. Tierney gets his arms free, but unfortunately the pass is just a shade forward to Mackay.
And only a
Right
shade.
decision.
So a last chance here for North Sydney. Only a minute on the clock, if that, and this scrum packing on the 22. On the blind side, Billy Moore tries to scamper away, but Linane had read it, and Potter comes in to drive him back with help from Tierney. Tony Ray yelling instructions, move it wide. It goes to Martin. French, the run around, but good tackle by Coyne. Martin gets away from him. Martin slid off one onto, Coyne slid off one onto Martin quite well, but couldn't hold on to him. Billy Moore. On the blind side, it goes to Fairley, pops it for Conlon, gets a pass away to Egan. It went forward. Egan's kick back in field has been dropped by Ian French in the in-goal area, but will go back for the forward pass. Ian French, virtually a veteran of this side, along with Pat Jarvis.
Have a look here, some short chain passing, and the final pass to Kelly Egan was forward.
Wasn't a bad kick from Egan. Didn't have much time to pop in the left footer. One player we haven't seen much of in this half is David Fairley. He's been in terrific form lately, but he hasn't been involved in enough work at this stage.
Potter runs from dummy half. So with only seconds remaining till half time, St George hold a 6-point lead. They might be quite content to go in with that rather than trying anything too fancy here. There goes the siren as Elliott runs it up, stopped as he came to Jarvis. Didn't really want to meet Pat Jarvis with the siren having already sounded there. So at half time, in a solid encounter, St George leading Norths by 8 points to 2.
From Cogra Oval, the home of St George, this is round.
Second half underway from Paul Conlon. Well, after both teams will be looking to pick up their intensity.
Well, I would think so too. I've been a little bit disappointed in Norths. They've been a little bit negative, I think. I think they've got to be a little bit more positive the second half. In that last 10 minutes, I think they showed a little bit more willingness to move the ball. And I think St George probably have had a bit of a play. They've had the more chance. They've been called back a couple of times from forward passes. And Craig Young would be very pleased with his effort.
St George trying to drive play away from their own goal area. And Johnny Peard has all the news down on the sidelines.
Yeah, Warren, well, Craig Young's fairly pleased with the scoreboard at 8-2, but he wants a few areas tidied up. Defence, lacking in some areas, also support play. While Steve Martin's indicated to North the very thing that got them this far in the competitions is enthusiasm. He wants some enthusiasm this half.
There's some enthusiasm in the St George defence there. Right down on the fullback. Kelly Egan runs from dummy half. Can't get too far, almost pulls away from Fafita's tackle. Plays it forward now. Goulet hadn't managed to get to the marker position in time. just short of halfway. Toole crosses that 50-metre line. Ray in a dummy half, sends it out to Soden. He's under pressure from Coyne, forced to get the pass away, and in the end the kick put in there by Conlon. Bounces away from Potter. Potter under pressure, flying through on him. Plenty of chasers there. One of them was Martin, also French. Now it's French making the tackle, and Martin helps out.
The top tacklers for St George, Trevor Bailey and Scott Goulet on 18 also, who was involved in that first try for St George, the only try of the match, as a matter of fact. Over in the other quarter, Pat Jarvis. We expect Pat Jarvis to lead the fray in that area with 17 tackles.
Goulet takes the ball up. Martin, I should say, Soden races into the marker position. He wants to get after the kicker, Lanane. He almost gets to him, at least force Lanane to change direction, but it's a good kick.
Well, obviously, Martin said that they've got to put more pressure on St George's kicking game, and it looks as though they're trying to do that.
Conlon realised that the chasers were offside. They had to remain 5 metres away from him. Here's Kevin Thompson. St George leading by 6 points. Pass goes to no one. Alexander wasn't expecting it. Finally picked up over there by Billy Moore. Jarvis. Tackled ball and all by Mackay. Elliott helps out. 30 metres out. Soden. Martin. Long ball behind French. Brushes away from Coyne. Away from Lanane. French still going. Great run, Ian French. Left 3 behind him. Changing direction. It's the last tackle on the 22. Florimo puts it high. Soden is flying through. It's a difficult one for Potter. He loses it. Soden's there. It's bouncing in the in-goal area, and Norths have fallen on it for a try. Norths have fallen on the bouncing ball. I think it's Adrian Toole. It was eluding everyone, including Potter and Soden, and finally the other fellas arrived. Florimo put it up. This was a very difficult one for Potter. He wasn't well positioned in the field of play. It was coming down alongside the post. He found it out of his arms. It evaded he and Soden. Soden knocking it backwards there, and Adrian Toole forcing it fairly.
This is a great bomb for Florimo. This had snow on it. And unfortunately for Potter, it was in the in-goal area. He's got the post to contend with, facing backwards, cost the ball up. Have a look there. Soden a great chase, and Adrian Toole on the spot to score a great try.
And some jubilation there for Toole.
It's just what the doctor ordered for Steve Martin.
Adrian Toole, 21 years of age, formerly from Forbes in New South Wales. The kick for Conlon is right in front, and he gets Norths back on level terms. It's 8 points all here at Cogra. That's the way the Bears wanted to start.
Well, here's Florimo with a bomb, but this bomb was preceded by some fairly ordinary defence by St George. They got themselves in a bad position in field position. Here's Potter, confused a little by the post, and Adrian Toole comes up with the ball.
Mick Potter must have been standing fairly flat because the kick went up on the 22 and he had to make a good 10 metres back towards the post, so he always had it coming over his head from behind and really wasn't able to come into the ball. In the end, he misjudged it. It was always going to be very difficult for him. St George turnover here. Chance out wide. And in the end, the defence just manages to gather in. The St George runner on the far side, it was Mackay. Getting very dark here at Cogra. Peter Gill halfway through. Well, North's defence being tested as soon as they hit back. Lanane gets it away to Goulet. I should say Fafita. Fafita winding up. Must have been tackled. The tackle had been effected. He bounced back to his feet, thought he could pass it, but he had hit the ground with the ball with 2 tacklers on top of him.
Yeah, great tackle here by young Jason Martin. If you have a look, never at any time did Jason Martin let go. He's like a little dog there on the end of a bone there with Fafita, and Fafita just erred in that situation.
And Alberts just jumped off the back of the grandstand.
Well, poor football, I suppose, in one way by both sides. North suddenly turned over possession just when they got back to 8-all, and then St George also giving away a silly mistake. There was some good attacking play. You mentioned Ian French's good run in the lead-up to the North's play, Johnny.
Yes, very weak defence. He evaded 3 tackles. Warren, not a good indication. I mean, coaches emphasise at half-time the first 5 or 7 minutes in each half is very, very important, and the last 5 or 7 minutes. So, Norse have replied to him in that case.
That was one of the reasons why Potter was out of position. He had to come off his line out of in defence.
That's right, yeah, he hadn't had time to get back. Good point. This kick bounces over the dead ball line. Nick Potter much more happily able to follow Conlon's kick back over the dead ball. Replacement warming up for St George is Darren Higgins, number 17.
I think I might be wrong, but in the tackle on Pat Jarvis, a few sets of rucks back, Brad Mackay hurt himself.
I think he wants to stay out there, Arthur.
8 points all. Both teams very keen for a win. Here's a good run by Doyle. Finally takes the tackle of his opposite number, Martin. Potter. Taken by Ray. Lenane. Out it goes. Back inside is Doyle. He's lost the ball. Tried to regather it, but it went forward.
Also a touch forward, that pass inside. You have a look here, the pass from Turney inside to Doyle is half a yard forward.
Tony Ray it was coming over the top, jolted the ball from Doyle's grasp. John, it feels as if both teams have picked up their level of intensity a little.
Well, I guess they had to, because both coaches, Warren, were really emphasising that fact, that the game's there to be won. St George in front 8-2. Craig Young wanted them to go on with it, and their enthusiasm got them this far, and that's what Steve Martin emphasised.
Interesting penalty here going against the head and the feed there, probably because I've got no idea what he's ruled there, but you'd expect
they didn't go in head-on, Arthur. He said they've shifted to the side.
Yeah, either that or, yeah, as you say, John, moved away from the mark, which is a fairly technical point, but I suppose if St George were holding the mark, that's fair enough.
Yeah, but gee, it's a costly penalty, isn't it? I mean, you lose 30 yards on the ball for 6.
Sure. Fafita. You could see that Tony Ray, the skipper, was certainly questioning the decision. Goulet back to Lenane, slips it away to Gill. Gill heading for the corner, looking inside. There is Wade. Wade has picked the ball up and carried it over the touchline. The referee's going to play the knock-on just as well.
Once again, we see Scott Goulet showing some unbelievable ball skills here. We just see the end of it, the build-up here, but Peter Gill knocking the ball down, knocking the ball on, but it was a fine piece of set play there between Lenane and Scott Goulet.
Yeah, they're more enterprising than Norse. They seem to be wanting to move the ball and back up and support each other. So I guess at 8-8, they've got the job in front of them, but Norse just hanging in there. They'll need to lift their game substantially.
And here's good ground gain. That's 20 metres easily gained from the scrum base there. Soden and Martin. Also Thompson. Here's Billy Moore driven backwards. Strong tackle by Goulet, who looks as if he could have it, Arthur.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with him. He was a good player at Union, and he's also a good player in rugby league. He's got all the qualities that are needed to make the grade in rugby league.
He's got a terrific work rate in defence too, Arthur.
Well, he reads defence. He's enthusiastic. You have a look. He's one of the very few forwards that takes the rest of the lineup. You watch him. He reads play well too. He reads defence well.
Back for Soden's kick. St George camp deep, waiting for it. Potter comes into the ball and scampers away from one tackle. Pat Jarvis couldn't quite reach him.
We have a look here. A lot of missed tackles. 21 missed tackles by St George. It's too many. 30-18.
Lenane sends it out to Doyle. Tries to step through the defence. When St George lost to Brian Johnson earlier in the season, they were expecting to have him, but he had to retire injured. They needed a centre, so with Goulet signing, it enables them to strengthen the forwards and put Brad Mackay back out in the centres. Here's Fafita. Fafita really winding up. Good run. Turns the defence around.
Warren, Norse are waiting for St George in defence.
Bailey, Lenane. Lenane's kick is a good one. Great kick from Steve Lenane. That one crossing the line, just 2 metres up from the corner post.
John, can you see any lights around there? I was just wondering if it gets any darker.
George,
It's a bit threatening, Arthur. I just hope it holds off.
17 is Darren Higgins.
It looks quite bright on your screen, but I can assure you that it is getting very dark here in Cogra.
Brad Mackay for St George.
The ships out on Botany Bay might be battening down. Brad Mackay is leading the field. Well, he's had a pretty tough week. Played last Sunday, again on Wednesday. More than half a game here today, and always wholehearted. He really gets through some work. Oh, heavy tackle.
Yeah, that means that they've got a very inexperienced back line out there. Even though Brad Mackay is only 21 years of age, but he does hold that back line together, especially in defence.
He said before the game he almost felt like a grandfather with Cameron Wade and Kurt Landers, Mark Coyne on all around him. 10 metres short of halfway. It's the fifth tackle. Toole in a dummy half. Changes the direction. It goes to Billy Moore with a big left footer, and that's a solid kick. Forces Potter back. Only a few metres out from his goal line. Kelly Egan there and makes a good tackle. That kick from Moore, a handy one. A good 35-metre gain when he wasn't really expecting the ball. Egan is pushed away by Landers. Ian French comes again, pushes him on the ground. Some referees would have given a penalty there. French in it for another tackle, this time on Wade. Elliott.
St George forwards not getting to the advantage line at the moment. They're being a bit bogged down. They need someone like Fafita or someone to just take that ball to the advantage line.
Higgins, the fresh man on from Mackay. The lights are coming on here at the ground. See the lights on top of the new stand there, trying to brighten things up a little for vision for the players. Conlon across to Gather. Runs into Landers. How many times has Conlon pushed the first tackler in off? Just driven him off him. Egan now finding some defence.
Great tackle there by Goulet and Gill.
Tony Ray sights an opening, scampers away up the middle. Fairley. St George creeping up inside the 5, just going back in time. The referee had a good look at them. Here's Toole to play the ball. It's the last tackle. Spins it wide. Martin. Ian French has Florimo outside him. Rides the tackle. It is the last tackle, don't forget. It goes to Florimo. He finally puts a wobbly kick in, and it bounces for Landers. Only went 20 metres forward, and Landers really hits top pace very quickly. Toole is over the top, doesn't allow him to play the ball, and the penalty goes to St George. Right on the halfway line, this penalty.
If we have a look here, Toole comes up with a very high tackle also here, right around the neck. Bulldogs him down, but unfortunately for Norse, doesn't get off in time. Lays all over Landers, and unfortunately had no alternative but to give the penalty.
Another replacement warming up for Norths. St George in a handy position.
Bruce Sinclair, though.
John Fafita takes the tackle, 25 metres out. Lanane. Gill weaves his way, finds an opening. Too much defence in the end.
Do you think we'll see the field goal from Steve Lanane shortly?
8 points all. In it goes to Tierney, flicks it back to Elliott. Good pass, on it goes to Doyle. Doyle for the line, held by Soden. He gets over the line, did he get it down? Referee Eddie Ward right over the top, says no, he was short. Bailey tries to go wide, slips a pass away. It's a try to St George. Mick Potter has scored, coming in, hitting the line hard. Bailey read it well, just moving away from the dummy half to pick up the runner. And that's a good piece of work in close. Bailey found that a North player moved up quickly on the edge, forced him to go across field, but Potter was there, took the pass, ducked under the tackle of French, and scored a good St George try.
This is great work by Bailey. We've got Kearney comes through, draws the crabs off, creates the hole, and Potter comes through. This is a result of some good lead-up work by Peter Gill. Once again, he sees that someone moves off their line. Bailey, Kearney takes a few tacklers, defenders, and Mick Potter coming through to put down what seems to be could be a match-winning try.
Second try for Mick Potter. And The Dally M Player of the Year back in 1984. It seems a while back. North's winning run of 5 wins looks to be in jeopardy. A long way to go. They're down by 12 points to 8 here. Still 25 minutes remaining in the match, however. Doyle has a very important conversion here. Moves in. Hits it well. And the flags are up. So St George lead by 6 points. 14 points to 8. They're back where they began this half of football.
Great dummy half play there by Trevor Barley there. Pat Jarvis coming off. Pat Jarvis, 21 tackles, leading their defence.
And Bruce Sinclair should be out there.
Yeah, Bruce Sinclair in 41. Warren replaces Pat Jarvis. He's very disappointed because he'd rather lose a friend than a game.
Bruce Sinclair, 41, has replaced Pat
He's a
Jarvis.
good player, Bruce Sinclair, former Balmain's player, also from Tamworth, I believe, from Steve Martin's territory. Steve was the coach up there for a couple of years.
Well, Sydney are 3 wins away from equalling the club's greatest ever run. They equalled their best run since they took out 7 straight in 1982 with last week's win. The premiership winning side of 1922 holds the record. They had 8 wins in a row and took the premiership. Here's a good ball slipped away to Coyne. Out wide on the wing, racing away. No, it's a forward pass.
This will be interesting to have a look on. It's a great bust here by Fafita. You just have to have a look, wait for replay, but gee, I thought this was okay. We'll have to have a look at it. Fafita goes to the line, head straight at Jason Martin once again. Well, this is all right, I believe. Touch and go. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It's good work by Fafita. He's playing about 2 and 3 wide and running a little fellas.
And Darren Higgins it was who was racing away for the try. Penalty goes to Norths. Well, that was a critical decision by the referee. That may well have wrapped the game up because St George would have skipped away to a handy lead. They lead 14 points to 8, and South was on his way. He had no one in front of him. Let's have another look at that incident. Here's Fafita's pass to Coyne. Well, it clearly went backwards. Went backwards from his hand. If the ball travels forward in the air with the momentum of the player, that's okay, as long as it goes backwards from his body or backwards from his hands, and it appeared to do that. Norths now, through Martin. Back it goes to Soden, a high tackle from Higgins. I don't know that it hit the North player all that hard. Soden, I think, might have been playing for the penalty. Just a little high on the shoulder.
Maybe he's looking for an academy.
Yep, he seems to have recovered pretty quickly once he played the ball. Martin getting in close to the ruck. Gets a pass away. On it goes from Ray to Fairley. Fairley wrapped up. Tenacious defence from St George.
They've come up with a lot of complex plays in the last couple of rucks, but St George have read the defence very well.
Soden's kick is charged down, and that's 6 more tackles.
I disagree with that. You know, he just kicked that straight into St George player.
Well, a rebound isn't 6 more. That doesn't count as a touch. If it's a intended charge down, it does.
Well, I might be wrong here, but I don't. Yes. Well, I suppose touch. No, you're right. 6 more. Sorry, Eddie.
Referees Association gets an apology. Out it goes to French. You'll be sending flowers too?
I'd only apologise to a Queenslander.
On the blind side, Billy Moore sips it away to Toole, keeping the ball alive. There's no one there as Toole is swinging around looking for the
He's got them for
pass.
a forward pass here, if you have a look there. He's ruled the pass to a Toole dash forward.
Billy Moore was slipping the pass away to Adrian Toole, coming up in support there.
Once again.
Well, that one did look all right, but I guess our angle isn't that good, and the referee is in a better position.
That was a square up.
Sometimes the camera does lie. Potter from dummy half. The try scorer. There's 19 minutes of play remaining.
Just to emphasise what we're talking about, John Pearce, about St George directing a lot of their traffic at the little blokes. Jason Martin's leading the tackle count now at North with 23 tackles.
Yeah, well, early in the season, after they were using Fafita effectively out wide, it dropped off a little lately because he has been a fresh reserve, but today he's certainly getting directed in the right direction, the little fellas, and forcing these little blokes to come up with big tackle count.
Here's Fairley, just short of the halfway line. Coyne around his ankles. Bailey over the top. Bailey leading the tackle count for St George with 29. A little kick popped over for Florno. He can't regain. Almost bounced back for him.
I think he called Flormo offside there. It was just a dash in front of the kicker there. They might have called him off the ball.
Goulet. It's a good little kick, well executed. Bailey had no one in support.
This is where they're missing, St George are missing blokes like Osborne, who normally take the first two rucks. Matty Elliott's showing the way here.
Elliott bursts straight through some weak defence. Takes the tackle and hangs onto the ball. Nothing wrong with that. St George go on with it now. Mark Coyne. Great pace from Coyne. Shooting away from dummy half. Great run. There was nothing there for him and he just shot straight through. He created that opening. It wasn't there for him when he started. Tierney. Loose pass. Taken by Elliott. Flips it away to Landers. Landers to the line and he scores. Landers has scored what could be a winning try. St George lead by 18 points to 8. And that was fine hands. This winger has had a good game today, Kurt Landers. He's done everything that could be asked of him in his debut match. St George moved the ball wide, Coyne had turned them around. The pass flung out there finally by Elliott, and Landers hurls himself to the corner and beats the defence.
If you have a look here, I think that Norse thought that St George might go for the field goal, but they worked the blind side. Good play here by Matty Elliott. They sort of hung off there a little bit, and that might wrap up the game for St George.
This is a wobbly pass from Neil Tierney, but it certainly did the job in the end. He went to the defence, realised the numbers were out wide, got the loopy pass away. Elliott carried it on to Landers.
Well, they paid the penalty on the fifth tackle, not getting off their line. They were just waiting around to see what was going to happen, and it did happen. They come up with the try, St George.
Landers, a former beach sprint champion and schoolboy sprint champion, and both wingers have scored tries for St George in their debuts. Cameron Wade and Kurt Landers. So has the winning run ended for North Sydney? Well, this will show some character. It will be a test of character. See what they have got when they've got to come from behind. Doyle attempts the conversion right on the touchline. It's a good-looking kick, but just fades past that right hand upright. And the score remains St George 18, North's 8.
Well, here's the play that resulted in that try. Potter out to Tierney. He took the ball to the line, then popped up the ball. 40 didn't quite read it. And there we have the winger, Kurt Landers, going in the corner. And Elaine and Bob will be celebrating.
Once again, Ian French getting caught out of position. In the first half, he read the play very badly on Scott Gurley. And once again, he came in when he wasn't wanted. He should have stayed on his wing.
Yeah, on that occasion, Egan went infield. French remained outfield, but wasn't quite wide enough to counter Kurt Landers.
I wonder whether Neil Tierney actually looked in the direction of Matthew Elliott as he threw that pass. It looked as if he committed himself to the defence, didn't it?
Look, the spec.
It was last tackle,
I guess you might as well keep it alive. Great result for the Dragons.
McGowan, 16. Steve McGowan, 16. He's an English centre. He's come on for David Alexander.
North have come up with the ball here. And it's taken by Alexander. Bruce Sinclair.
This kid had a good game, this McGowan in reserve grade. He made plenty of inroads. He can certainly run the ball.
Well, Ian French has gone into the forwards.
Now it's a St George ball, so North's unable to control possession. Peter Gill coming up with it. Well, St George haven't found themselves in a winning position all that often this season. They've won just the 4 games, but they did string together 3 in a row before they went down to Balmain in our last televised match with the Dragons. Fafita working wide now.
Once again, Fafita getting up Jason Martin's tackle count.
Elliott. He's worked hard since he came on to replace Paul Osborne. Lenane, whose duties have been to keep those kicks coming.
He does possess a great kicking game too, Steve Lenane. Has to be in St George's side.
Thompson. Wrapped up by Doyle.
He hasn't done anything wrong either, Rod Doyle.
Here's Adrian Toole, shrugs off one tackle.
Just noticed in the last few minutes that Scott Gurley might be feeling the pinch a little bit, John.
Yeah, he just fell off a tackle then, Arthur.
He's fell off a couple in the last few minutes, 5 minutes. So.
This penalty goes to North. Once again, interference in the tackle. And Martin looks for touch. Not only is Martin leading the tackle count, but he seems to be becoming very involved in the plays around the ruck, sometimes getting one off the ruck rather than Soden. Here's Bruce Sinclair. Norths aren't finished yet by any means. Here's Billy Moore. If they ignite, they certainly have the ability to score some tries. Martin taking it one up. They must be setting up a play here. Soden on the blind side of the ruck. Toole on the open. Just in front of the post, 12 metres out. Soden goes across. Dummies to Toole. Takes the tackle himself. 2 tackles left for Norths. Toole goes himself from dummy half to Fairley. Out it goes to French. French trying to burrow his way through. Gets close to the line. Loses it out the back. And it's a St George ball. Ian French just trying a little too hard to get his hands free out the back. Peter Gill has lost the ball. Another chance for Norths. Well, if Norths can't score from here, they've got 6 tackles. They're a metre out from the line. Ray sends it to Fairley. The defence moves up on him. He cuts back. St George defenders on this side of the field screaming for help. Slow play the ball has helped them. Fairley plays it back. Soden inside, driving through as McGowan. 5 metres out. Out it goes to Toole. Toole trying to fight through the tackles. North still unable to penetrate this St George line. Soden sips it away to Billy Moore. Throws himself at the line. Back to Soden. Wide it goes. Fairley. Long pass out to Florimo. Florimo has support on the wing. Flying away for a try there is Kevin Thompson. No, he's cut down.
Great tackle there by Coyne. Great defence by Coyne.
The pass goes to Martin. It went to no one in the end. Martin seemed to be taken high. There was also Tony Ray in there. And St George have come up with the ball.
It was as good as a tackle you'll see from Mark Coyne.
Well, there's the final let-off for St George. The pass flung in the air in the direction of Martin and Ray. Neither gathered it. But Kevin Thompson was setting himself for the corner, looked to try for all money. And a great tackle by Mark Coyne. Here it is.
Have a look here. Mark Coyne gets outside his man here. And Mark Coyne showed amazing pace and a great defence. Just cuts him legs right out from under him. The temptation there would have been to lean over and put the ball down.
Well, for a moment I thought that Greg Florimo was going to be able to take off to the corner, so with his winger free, it looked to try for all money. St George survive, and they still hold this 10-point lead. 18 points to 8 as the Dragons in front here at Cogra. Kevin Thompson, the man who had the try line in his sights, slips it away now. Conlon pushes one away, dummies to no one. Kelly Egan was about 10 metres behind him. Billy Moore.
Dan Staines there, a bit unfortunate to make the Australian side, but been in bed, I believe, for the last week or so with the virus.
And he's out of tomorrow's match for Cronulla.
Certainly had a great game down in Melbourne.
Martin with a little kick. Soden coming through as well. Cameron Wade has managed to cover it up. In fact, it was Mark Coyne. Did well to get right around that ball with his body. Soden and Martin racing through on the kick. Coyne wrapped it up well.
Inside the last 10, they're going to have to do something shortly. North, they're going to pull this game out of the fire.
Doyle's kick is a good one. Deep driving kick. Conlon had to go back. Florimo's trying to get back on side. Now he gets the pass. Steps off his left. Away from Higgins. The pass goes back. On it goes to Billy Moore. Billy Moore has plenty of pace. A long strider. Hasn't been able to find too many open spaces today.
They're trying the Hail Mary stuff now.
Well, I guess it's just about that time, isn't it? You're down by 10 points, only 9 minutes remaining. They need 2 tries. Martin, quick ball onto McGowan. Good tackle, though. Thompson, McGowan. McGowan is sharp off the mark. 5th tackle, it goes back to French. Flips it to McGowan. McGowan takes a tackle. I'm sorry, that was the 4th tackle. 5th coming up now. Soden. Soden puts it high. Plenty of pressure on Potter. Florimo flies and takes the ball and will score the try. Great work from Greg Florimo. He's been chasing those bombs all day long. He got through and went high, took it out of the arms of Potter and twisted over the line. So Norths aren't finished yet. They're down by 6 points. Great bomb here from Soden. This one really brought snow as well. Potter was underneath it. Nothing he could do except wait for it to come down. Florimo on the run was able to generate the lift to get over the top of him and plunges over for a valuable try.
If you have a look here, you can believe that the ABC has switched over to Victoria Park in Melbourne. This is a great take by Florimo here. They've scored 2 tries and both of them been the result of bombs.
Greg Florimo's nickname is Skater. 2nd try for the year. A reserve for the New South Wales Origin side in '88. Played City Origin both years, of course, both the last couple of years. Now Paul Conlon, an important kick here. Can he get them inside this 6-point barrier? No, he pulls it to the left, and the score remains St George 18, North Sydney 12.
Just wondering if the North can do a Houdini again. They've done it.
Yeah, well, if you notice here, Soden had all the time in the world to expertly place this bomb. He does so. Greg Florimo gives a good example of keeping your eye on the ball. No self-preservation involved. Up he goes, takes it beautifully, and over for the try. Unfortunately, Conlon failed with the conversion.
There wasn't much help across there for Mick Potter.
Number 5.
Potter found himself waiting for that bomb. Landers was coming back, but nobody else in sight. It's a lonely feeling when you know they're coming through on you. St George leading by 6 points. There's 6 minutes remaining in the match.
They like to make coaches do it hard, don't they, John, players?
Both coaches have done it tough today, although Craig Young's been in front most of the second half.
The penalty goes to the Bears against Lenane, not clearing away from the tackle.
Yeah, this is the last thing you'd want to be doing with 6 points in front, North's on a roll, giving away a stupid penalty like this, especially on the 3rd tackle, but this is exactly what St George did. It's stupid penalties like this that do cost you games.
That's a good kick from touch. Florimo quickly getting on with it.
Kevin Thompson off, David Hall on.
A bad pass goes behind Soden. Martin. McGowan. Taken in a good tackle by Lenane. Trying to make up for that mistake.
Even though St George looked like coming up with a win, but gee, they've still missed 30 tackles in this game.
Barely.
A lot of missed tackles.
5 minutes remaining. North, a last throw here. They certainly aren't finished by any means. Soden ducks under one tackle. North's coming home strong here. St George clinging on. Martin was looking for the runner inside, but Billy Moore had faded from inside to outside. It's the last tackle now. Soden gives it back to Ray. He lifts the bomb. Plenty of St George waiting underneath it. Offside.
We've got Kelly Egan offside here. Kelly Egan was definitely in front of the kicker. Showed on replay here. We have a look here. Tony Ray putting the bomb up and just a dash offside, just a touch.
Just looking across at our statistician, Graham Roberts, I believe he's questioning a few of the tackle counts here. He doesn't agree that referee Eddie Ward is counting them correctly, but I guess we might check the tape after the game, and I suppose Eddie Ward will too. Hasn't influenced the game noticeably anyway. Neil Tierney slowly to his feet. Fafita. Raked out by Ian French. Play on as it goes to Sinclair. Another chance for Norths. Fairley trying to wind back through, find that little hole. So far it's eluded him. The St George defence has been pretty solid today. Toole, taken by Fafita, who flung himself sideways to round him up. On the 22. St George leading 18-12. And the ball has been knocked on there by Soden. Well, if the Bears coach, Steve Martin, already wasn't starting to feel a little anxious, he would be now.
He had a big line out here and unfortunately just took his eyes off the ball, young Mark Soden, and they were ready to spin the ball very wide then.
I wonder if the trainer coming in to assist the North Sydney player just in the right would have been in the corner of his eye, may have just distracted him a touch. I'm sure it sounds like a worthwhile excuse to use after the game. St George ball, Coyne standing at 5'8". Can't get away from Florimo or Martin. The clock has well and truly stopped. Goulet.
He's had a great game, Goulet. He's come up with something like 27 tackles. Jason Martin still leading the tackle count for North was 30.
Elliott hasn't let them down at all since he came on. On the blind side, Neil Tierney with a strong run. Still some energy left in the body of Tierney.
He appeals to the parade. Jason Martin stripping him with the ball here. He's scratching his head there. Well, it wasn't me, ref. Did you have a look? Tony charged in the ruck here. Jason Martin coming through. The tackle completed. Just stripping Tierney of the ball. Justified penalty. That's the ball game for North, I would think.
Well, I thought that Martin took that ball out of his arms in the roll. You know, here we go again with the New South Wales, Queensland. Which interpretation? Here's a good buff by St George. Out it goes to Wade on the far side.
Peter Gill has also had a great game, made a great stepping run there, and he certainly played a great game for St George also.
Just 20 metres out, St George with a chance to finally nail Norths here. Elliott, a field goal will be enough. Surely Steve Linnane must be thinking about it. Elliott plays it forward. Goes a little closer to the posts. Linnane is right behind the ruck. Bailey a dummy half. Back it goes for Linnane. Has all the time in the world. Doesn't put in a good kick, though. Conlon came through on him very late.
And a shocker, wasn't it? One of your attempts, Jack. Or something like poor old Dallas Donnelly, God bless his soul.
Yeah, it wasn't too good. At least it went good World Cup goal, wasn't it? Cameroon would have been prepared, would have been quite happy with it. There's a couple of balls on the field here. So there were two balls on the field and they kicked both of them off. Tony Ray wraps up the ball. All North's, well, not North's, I should say St George have to do is just control the game. St George leading 18-12. This has been certainly an upset. McGowan takes the tackle. North still can pull a draw out if they can just crack the line. They've got to throw it around. Out it goes to Martin. Takes the tackle. St George will need something just a little less than a miracle to make the semi-finals this season, but this win, if it is to be a win, will just keep them in the hunt. On the edge of the hunt, certainly. The kick through from Soden. Not a bad one, but Linnane patrolling behind the line, comes across, read it well from his opposite number. So St George now have the opportunity to just hold on to this ball. There can't be very long left. Linnane to play it back. Coyne, who's had a good game, Mark Coyne.
All the young players for St George have fared very well. They've earned their spurs today and they've justified it.
Well, there's no substitute for enthusiasm, and St George have had just that little bit more today, but neither side would be too proud of that effort, I wouldn't think. The siren has gone. The St George fans streaming onto the ground here in Cogra. The big flags are waving. I guess they haven't had all that much to celebrate this season, but they have today. St George have defeated North Sydney by 18 points to 12.
From their home ground, Cogra Oval, the 2 points go to the St George Dragons, which take their premiership tally to 10 points in this year's Winfield Cup.
St George aside with plenty of premiership scalps. 18 points to 12 today. 3 tries to 2. Wade, Potter and Landers for St George. Doyle kicked 3 from 4 and North's 2 tries, Toole and Florimo. Conlon kicked 2 from 4. And St George, of course, had 1 try disallowed with a forward pass, which could have been telling if it had been a little closer. Johnny Peard has Scott Goulet with him.
Well, Scott, how'd you find it out there? A Union convert, was a good win after several losses.
Yeah, well, I went through reserve grade and a few losses, and I came to first grade and had a few losses, so bloody good to have a win, that's for sure.
Yeah, how are you finding the transition?
Oh, not too bad. Every game I'm sort of improving a bit, so hopefully I'll keep improving, that's the main thing.
Yeah, you've certainly got a thirst for defence. I think you've got 27, 28 tackles, so what's happening in Union? You didn't get so many in Union, you're saving up for league.
That's one of the reasons I sort of left.
Thanks, mate.
A good crowd down there around Scott Goulet and Johnny Peard. Pretty busy place.